Story time about when I thought my laser hair removal nurse was complimenting my butthole. After lockdown ended in my country, there's been a huge sale at my local laser hair removal clinic, and so I thought, fuck it, I might as well go for it. I paid for my 10 visits and set off for the first one, a little nervous but excited for my new hairless body. Now, I decided it would be a great idea to get a full Brazilian, all the way down from the front to the back. Pretty normal, right? The lovely nurse comes in and gives me a brief heads up, explains how it all works sort of thing. When she comes back in, she decides that we're going to laser away the hair on my butthole first. All well and good, right? The instructions I've been given are, lay on your right side and use your left hand to pull up your bum cheek. So here I am, lying on my side, him pulling up my bum while this lady sticks a laser on my asshole. Now, on my left hand, I wear this gorgeous silver ring with a bright blue gem. It was handmade by my bestie's boyfriend, so it's pretty unique. So this lady saw my gorgeous ring and decided to break the awkward silence and said, "That's a cute ring you have there." And of course, I happened to forget that I was wearing the damn ring. It just made sense in my head that the nurse was complimenting the ring on my asshole. Yeah, I know. So, still on my side, I tell her, "Thank you, it'll be a lot nicer when it's hairless, lol." Cue the awkward laugh and then silence, until I realized that she was not, in fact, talking about my ass. We finished the rest of the appointment without speaking and I dashed out of there as soon as possible. I'm still recovering. I, 35, adopted my niece, 9, from my sister, 26. My parents have health issues and could not take her in, so I took the responsibility. I love my niece and I'll never blame her for my sister's mistakes, but unfortunately, it uprooted my life. It caused a significant sidetrack in my career. I've even had to turn down better job offers because they wouldn't allow me to stay close enough to home. My parents love my niece but could not take on the responsibility of caring for her, so I don't want to separate them. I had never planned to have children. I even had a boyfriend before I took in my niece, but he also didn't want to have children, and we made the decision to part when I took her in. We have never hid from my niece who her biological mother is, and even though the first few years of her life were hard, 3 years ago my sister started being in our lives again. She told me that she wishes for me to keep raising my niece because I have a better job and can afford it. My sister only has her GED and can hardly afford to keep herself afloat. She usually lives with her temporary boyfriend so she doesn't have to worry about paying for her own place. My sister acts like an aunt to her daughter, not like a mother, and my niece still loves her mother greatly. This past holiday we were at my parents to open presents and my sister gave my niece a present to open. It was a shirt that said, "I'm going to be a big sister," on it. We weren't sure what this meant, but my sister informed us that she was pregnant and that she wouldn't be able to keep it, and she was once again expecting me to take in the baby. My niece was so excited at the news and my parents were happy to hear that they were getting another grandchild, but I was just floored. I burst into tears immediately and I just walked out. My sister came in to talk to me and I told her that I wouldn't be able to take in the baby. I don't want a new baby. I love my niece, but raising her is enough responsibility already. My sister told me that I would be wrong not to take in my niece's brother. She didn't mean to get pregnant. Apparently she was on birth control and she doesn't know who the father is. My parents couldn't take on a baby either, so it's up to me. My sister told me that I should feel blessed, but I don't. When I told my parents and niece, they were all very upset, my niece especially. I don't know what to do, but I can't take in another baby. I know it's my niece's sibling and my sister's child, but it would completely ruin my life. Am I the asshole for refusing to take in my sister's baby after I took in her daughter? Ghosted my boyfriend of 5 years and his friends. I, at 33, was dating a guy at 39 for 5 years. After 3 years or so, we moved in together, but he was away a lot for work. He had a camp job that was 3 weeks in, 1 week home. He and I always liked to play computer games and were in a Discord with his friends. My friends also joined the Discord and everyone got along very well. Over the last year, he started getting a bit distant when he wasn't home, but I would see him online and voice chat with his friends and my friends. If I joined the chat, he would go silent. There were times we would play late at night together on the weekends, but one day he told me that he got in trouble at the camp for being too loud at night. He stopped phoning me and would only message me. Sometimes he wouldn't talk to me for a few days. 3 months ago, he wasn't online, but a few of his friends were. I popped into the chat to say hi, and someone asked where he was to someone else. The friend responded with, "Oh, he's probably with his other half. They usually spend a lot of time together at this time of day. He'll be back later." I went, "Hold the phone. What?" But I'm his girlfriend and we live together when he's not at camp. He got silent and then one of the people said, "I hate to break it to you, but he has never had a camp job. He lives in the city with his girlfriend and travels out once a week." I messaged him saying, "Hey, someone just said you have another girlfriend? What the hell?" He sent me a message saying that they were lying to me and blah blah blah. I ended up clarifying with his friend on who the other woman was. It was a girl that I played with regularly. She was a good friend, or so I thought. I also casually mentioned it in voice chat with her one day. "Yeah, we've been together for 6 months, living together for 3. I know it's fast, but he's a great guy." I just laughed and said, "That's great for you." I didn't break up with him. I pretended to believe him. In the meantime, I had been looking at purchasing a house for the last year and was about to close on a deal. Our finances were completely our own and I hadn't told him that I found one that I put an offer in for. After closing the deal, it took a month for me to receive the keys. The day I moved into the house, January 2nd, I put his things in storage, sent him a message on Discord to give him the storage details, moved into my new house, then I left the Discord and went full ghost mode with him and his friends. I also changed my phone number and deleted my Facebook. I told a few select friends about what happened and gave them my new number with instructions not to tell them anything about where I am or my new details. My friends threw me a housewarming party a few days ago. My best friend said that my ex is frantically looking for me. He has been calling all my friends and saying he's worried about me. She had told him that I knew he was cheating and that I was gone. Apparently he cried. She also went so far as to pop into the Discord with him, his friends, my friends, and the other woman to say, "Hey, did you get your stuff after she broke up with you for cheating on her?" Apparently he's single now and the other woman kicked him out and broke up with him. She also asked my friend to send me her sincerest apologies over everything. She wants my friend to give me her number so that we can talk. I'm not sure if I should, but I love my best friend. She totally had my back. Interview with the CEO in person despite COVID. I was super nervous as per usual, maybe even more than usual because I really wanted this job. I tried to calm myself down, but by the time the interviewer showed up, I could literally feel my heartbeat in my throat. He was 50-ish and walked down the stairs towards me in his nice suit but stopped halfway down. I figured the interview would take place upstairs, so I got up to meet him. And as I was walking up the stairs towards him, he put his arm up and his elbow out, and my brain just sort of went, error. I suppose it could have only meant two things. It could have meant A, please take my arm, milady, so I can escort you to the room as if we're strolling down the promenade together, or B, please give me an elbow bump since we can't shake hands, which is really not an uncommon gesture at all in the Netherlands. So what do? Yes, I went with option A, and I eagerly locked arms with a strange man that I'd never met in my life before, as if saying, yes, good sir, let's go for that stroll. And then we just stood there, arm in arm, halfway up the stairs, sheepishly staring at each other. I wanted the earth to swallow me whole. I just didn't know what to do next, and I don't think he'd fully understood what happened, so neither of us moved. When he finally gathered his senses, he said, I meant to give you an elbow bump, after which I quickly put as much distance between us as I could and mumbled, right, yes, that makes much more sense. Because it did, let's face it. And then we had the interview. I was so embarrassed for locking arms with him as if we were best friends forever. However, I still got the job. The realtor informed us that there was a school bus stop around the corner where the house was, and we were okay with that, thinking that it would not be an issue. We moved in over the summer before school started. The week that school began, we had no issues. However, in the following weeks, we noticed that our dog and cat started behaving strangely. My cat started urinating outside the litter box, and my dog would not go near the windows in the front. We took the cat to the vet to make sure that she was not sick, and she was fine. The vet thought it was the move and the new environment causing anxiety for them. 2 weeks later, we started noticing that rocks from our landscaping out front were on the porch and footprints on the cement. Out of concern, we installed a video doorbell camera because we were afraid that someone was trying to get into the house. What we saw was the kids from the bus stop taking our landscaping rocks and throwing them at our house and the windows and scaring the crap out of my dog and cat. They would run up the windows and start yelling at them. To say I was pissed was an understatement. Meanwhile, these kids' parents were either standing there watching them do this or sitting in their car. They drive their kids at the bus stop and then wait in their cars until they get on the bus, and literally doing nothing. One mother even told her kid to go on the porch and get out of the sun. These kids were at least 10 to 12 years old, so they were old enough to know better. My husband called the school as soon as he saw it and reported it. They basically said that they couldn't do anything about it, so he called the Board of Education and was given the runaround there as well. We started watching the cameras like hawks every morning, and anytime we saw a kid pick up rocks, we would tell them that we could see them and to put it down. When the parents would tell the kids to go on the porch, we would talk to the cameras and tell them no. They would either have to wait in their car or stand in the rain. We finally went to the Board of Education meeting and showed the camera footage of the kids tormenting our animals. We basically said that they either change the bus stop or we file police reports on every kid on camera who continues to throw rocks at our house and yell at our animals. The school board voted in our favor to change the bus stop further up the street, meaning that the kids and parents would have to go an extra block to go on the bus. Now all the parents from the bus stop are pissed and saying that we doctored the footage. They are all saying how they're doing facial reconstructive surgery on themselves to evade police after committing a murder. Lindsay Hawker was an English woman who moved to Japan to pursue her dreams of being a teacher. One evening in March of 2007, a man approached Hawker on the train ride home from work. He claimed that she was his English teacher even though she wasn't. He followed her when she got off the train and begged for a glass of water upon arriving to her house. She felt sorry for him and allowed him into her flat, but made sure to introduce him to her two flatmates as a precaution. Once he was inside, he drew a picture of her, signing it with his name, phone number, and email address. They chit-chatted and agreed to meet for an English lesson at a cafe 4 days later, which was okayed by the school she was employed by. On Saturday, March 24th, Hawker meets up with the man in a cafe for their lesson. Afterwards, he convinces Hawker to catch a taxi to his apartment close by as he forgot his wallet and still needs to pay her. When they arrive, Hawker tells the taxi driver to wait as she's only going to be a few minutes. 7 minutes later, the taxi driver leaves saying that she changed her mind and decided to stay. However, what happened was much graver and makes you think what would have happened if the taxi driver had just double-checked. Things might have turned out differently. A couple days later, Hawker's employers call her family and report that the usually conscientious young woman hadn't reported for work in 2 days. Her family then calls Tokyo police, but Hawker's flatmates, who had the man's name and contact details, had already alerted police after Hawker didn't come home. On March 26, 2 officers pull up to a flat owned by a man named Tatsuya Ichihashi, but aren't permitted to knock without a proper cause. When 9 officers show up, Ichihashi, who was inside the apartment all along, makes a run for it. The officers didn't have radio, so they couldn't communicate to each other where he was running to in the building, which allowed him to escape successfully. When police entered his apartment, they were horrified. They spot a bathtub on his balcony. Inside was a mixture of soil and sand, and unfortunately, Hawker's badly beaten body. She had been bound, gagged, and her head had been shaved. After an investigation, it seems that the man was trying to either bury the body in concrete or wait until it decomposed. He had made 6 visits to the local hardware store buying the materials in a couple days after the murder leading up to the arrival of police. After his escape, police added him to the most wanted list and went as far as making life-size cutouts of the suspect to raise awareness to the case, but it was no use. Over the next few years, Ichihashi would complete over a dozen facial reconstructive surgeries on himself to avoid getting caught.